This is 6 News at 5.
Now it's time, and now we're pressing beyond the Earth orbit. Now we're going back to the moon. We're going on to Mars.
Tonight on 6 News at 5, the future is bright in space exploration. How the Lone Star State is leading the way.
And ravaged by the flames, why communities and neighbors in Maui are not giving up despite overwhelming tragedy.
We saw that we were going to be relentless. We weren't going anywhere. We had strong support out here.
A manhunt ending in hours-long standoff. The dramatic capture of the suspect accused of shooting 4 officers in the span of just 24 hours. Good evening and thanks for joining us on your Friday night. I'm Lindsay Liepman.
Welcome in, everybody. So glad you're here. I'm Kris Radcliffe, and let's get right to our top story now at 5. The fate of a Waco lawyer is now in the hands of a jury this evening. They have been in deliberation for hours.
Seth Sutton is accused of plotting to kill the ex-husband of late attorney Chelsea Tiarina. Since nearly 10 a.m., the jury has been in deliberation, requesting more audio recording evidence and clarification over the charges. In closing arguments this morning, the state told the jury they understand it's a complex case, but Sutton's motives were clear. Prosecutors told jurors Sutton had many intentional plans to kill Marcus Bowden for sexually assaulting a family member. In testimony, an undercover agent testified that Sutton asked him to help with the crime. Prosecutors explained to the jury this became solicitation when Sutton told the undercover officer to purchase a $300 gun. But Clint Broden, that's Sutton's attorney, fired back in closing arguments, saying the undercover cop was lusting for the bust, no matter the cost. The undercover cop initiated the conversations with Sutton about the murder of Bowden and even volunteered to do it, according to the defense. Prosecutors spoke again, saying the undercover cop went rogue because it was the right thing to do. Attorney Pat Sloan called the undercover officer a righteous one who put his life on the line. Now tonight on 6 News at 6, reporter Sydney Dishon will give us the latest on what happened in the courtroom and if the jury reaches a verdict. Meanwhile, new developments in the impeachment trial against suspended Attorney General Ken Paxon.
Yeah, the House impeachment managers submitted nearly 4,000 pages of evidence ahead of the Senate trial that's going to take place next month. The documents detail the alleged abuse of office. Paxon is accused of helping Nate Paul, a wealthy campaign donor who was being investigated by federal authorities. This comes after Paxon's lawyers called for 20 articles of impeachment to be thrown out last week, arguing that the House had not provided evidence to support the allegations. That trial is set to begin on September the 5th.
Meanwhile, a massive manhunt in Harris County came to an end after an hours-long standoff last night.
It really was teamwork. They worked seamlessly together. It really was something just out of a movie, seeing how they operated when things came towards the end and were able to, again, get this resolved peacefully and without incident.
As officers closed in on the 34-year-old suspect, Taryn Green allegedly shot at 3 more officers who tried to enter the home. Wow, take a look at this. Sheriff Ed Gonzalez says they were forced to deploy tactical vehicles to get to him. After 5 hours, he was taken into custody just before midnight. Green remains behind bars right now at the Harris County Jail, facing 3 counts of attempted capital murder.
Well, let's step back from the news, and we got to talk about the weather going into the weekend. Meteorologist Matt Farrell is now joining us with a look ahead at the forecast from today and the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, and while it wasn't a record-breaking day today, it was still plenty hot out there. You can see out there right now, temperature still from 105 up to 108 in a few spots. Comanche, I really feel bad for the folks in Comanche. It's up above a 110 every single day, at least over the last couple of weeks. But again, plenty of heat out there today. And we'll see plenty of heat again tomorrow as temperatures routinely get back up to 106, 107, that neck of the woods. And it's going to stay like that throughout the rest of the weekend. But for now, I'd like to turn our attention to the Pacific. We're watching Hurricane Hillary right now. Winds at 130 miles per hour, Category 4 hurricane. But watch what happens as it starts to make its way up towards Baja, right? It's going to drop in intensity as it gets into shallower water and starts interacting with the coast there. It's going to drop to a Category 2, Category 1, and it's going to stay that way all the way up through San Diego before finally developing into a subtropical low by the time it makes its way into Nevada. So again, Los Angeles, San Diego still under the gun for a Category 1 hurricane with winds 50 to 75 miles an hour possible. The rain is going to be a problem. 4 to 6 inches for parts of Southern California. And yeah, we're going to keep an eye on that through the weekend. We'll have our forecast coming up in just a little bit.
All right. Thank you so much, Matt. Appreciate that. Speaking of what he was talking about there, Hurricane Hilary strengthened to a Category 4 storm. This storm is now making its way towards California. They're coming up from the Pacific, threatening to bring storms, winds, and some really large amounts of rains to the southwestern United States, possibly a year's worth of rainfall there in a couple of days. If Hurricane Hilary makes landfall in California as a tropical storm, it will be the first one in 84 years. So this is a rare occurrence. After more than a week, recovery teams have still only covered about half of the burned out areas in Maui. It's an ongoing search through miles of devastation, bringing heartache and, of course, tremendous loss.
But it also reveals the strength and hope that remains on the island. NBC's Jay Gray shows us the determination of those in the areas hardest hit.
In the middle of what's become an ocean of rubble and ash with waves of burned out cars and buildings, there is an island. This small patch of land, for the most part untouched by the flames, a neighborhood locals call Hawaiian Homes, a place under the state's Homestead Act reserved for Native Hawaiians.
This is our land, this is our place. So we are definitely going to protect it.
With the firestorm rushing in, they joined Maui firefighters on the front line, saving all but 2 of the 104 homes here.
We didn't wait for anybody. We just did what we had to do.
And with smoke still filling the air, this community did what they always do, pulling together.
With the families and our hui and the ohana and everybody who involved, they were just, okay, what you need? Okay, this is going to come. Okay, that's coming. Okay, this is going to come.
The first of the support arriving by boat, followed by truckloads of supplies, including food, clothes, dozens of generators. The home of surfing legend Archie Kalepa and his wife Alicia, now a makeshift warehouse and community gathering point. Outside their back door, through a tent filled with donations, this stark reminder of just how close the flames were and all that's been lost.
Every time I go in and every time I go out, it's a painful reminder. As far as I'm concerned, that whole Lahaina is a cemetery. Because, you know, they died there, their ashes are there. We're going to make sure that they're respected, that they are remembered.
And honored by taking care of one another and their homeland. Jay Gray, NBC News, Lahaina.
Meanwhile, Canada is experiencing one of the worst wildfire seasons in its history. Right now, there's more than 1,000 active fires burning across that country. There on your right, you can see only some of the tens of thousands of people of Yellowknife evacuating. 1,500 people were evacuated out of that city by plane on Thursday. About 22 flights were due out today. All while firefighters still battling the flames with air crews trying to save the remote northern city. All right, and we do have some breaking news just into the 6 newsroom. The jury is unable to reach a verdict in Seth Sutton's murder for hire case. 6 News reporter Sydney Dishon is reporting that there is an impasse and the defense tried to object. The judge overruled that objection from the defense. So once again, this is just coming into our newsroom. 6 News will, of course, continue to bring you the very latest developments online as well as in our 6 o'clock newscast. So stay tuned for that.
News now that takes us out of this world. Russia now surging in the space race to the moon and Mars. A Russian probe is expected to land on the moon's south pole within days. Their goal is to confirm the presence of frozen water, which has the potential to be used for rocket fuel. NASA Chief Bill Nelson says that ice is why the U.S. plans to land Artemis astronauts in 2025. But China also has the same plans.
I think the space race is really between us and China, and we need to protect the interest of the international community. I don't want China to get to the South Pole first with humans and then say, this is ours, stay out.
Yeah, Bill Nelson's a former U.S. Senator, isn't he? Okay, the head of Russia's space agency, Bill Nelson, saying that the moon could be the launching pad to then explore distant planets in the future, including Mars. NASA hopes to create a base camp on the moon and then use that to indeed go to Mars.
Space Institute will be built right next to the Johnson Space Center in Houston. Texas A&M University just approved the $200 million facility. Scientists and other personnel will help in mission training, advanced robotics, aeronautics research, and even lunar and Martian exploration. Those spearheading the project say the Lone Star State will remain a leader in space exploration and will become an industry leader.
If you want to be a part of the future of your economic sector, you need to embrace how to exploit space and use it for your business.
If we want to get expertise from mission operators, mission designers, engineers, astronauts, it's very easy for them to just hop over literally, a couple of blocks and come work with our students and work with our faculty.
Construction for the facility is expected to start at the end of the year, and it's expected to be ready by the end of 2025.
That's really cool. Okay, Texas also outpacing the nation in job growth, breaking 3 job records. The governor's office writing today, the latest employment data shows the state added the most jobs over the last year as compared to other states. The state also set a new record high for total jobs for the last 22 months, and a new record for the number of Texans working and the size of the workforce. Way to go, Lone Star. All right, coming up tonight, 50 years in education. Meet the exemplary teacher who's been teaching the next generation for 5 decades now.
And need something to watch this weekend? Well, we've got a few ideas for you and an all-new director's chair.